Hey there YouTube, I'm Yukitsu, this is the Yukitsu Times, welcome to my channel, welcome to Dota 2 once again for complete and utter noobs. So this is basically me talking once again about that sort of me sucking at the game, but how to play it if you happen to suck and enjoy it nonetheless. So this time we're playing as Wraith King, formerly known as Skeleton King, formerly known as the Prince of Skeletons. And then he lost all his skeleton, and now he's just a whatever Wraith. They repossessed his skeleton. It was very tragic. And when you're already a skeleton, like all you've got left is like the ghost that was animating it. But anyway, we're talking about him because he's again a very simple character. We're going to be at a disadvantage here because we're against a Keeper of the Light and a Spectre, and the combination of these two is difficult to kill, actually. Spectre is a very sort of difficult to kill champion in a lot of respects. I don't really know what our Spirit Breaker was doing over here. Honestly, what he was doing was ridiculously dangerous and like uncoordinated, since he didn't like ping me, he didn't ask me to do this or anything. He just sort of went off and started auto-attacking him. But I guess that's a form of harass. Problem is that their composition is much, much better at that sort of thing. Now, I didn't start with the right thing if he was going to do that sort of thing. I should have started with Wraith Fire Blast, but instead I started with Vampiric Aura. The reason I started with this is because I wanted to just farm, because we're up against a lane that can't really effectively do the things that you would want to be able to do. So here, we are going to manage to get killed up, and you're going to see that I'm going to be able to put that to good use later on. But I have to run for now since that gave me quite a bit of damage. Now, the reason that worked out so well for us is because we managed to stack our stuns, which we're not communicating, so it's just by pure chance whenever we managed to do that. So I managed to get sort of my stun out, get a couple hits on there, and then Spirit Breaker managed to run in there, use his two abilities. He managed to get lucky on the Greater Bash there in terms of that proccing, because that doesn't actually always go off. There was a very real chance that it wouldn't have gone off, and I might have died there if Spectre managed to get another hit or two on me. But because of that sort of kill, we're going to be able to do a little bit more. I'm going to just run back over here because the chicken's coming with some items for me, which are going to make me a little bit better at my job, boots of speed in particular, making it a lot easier to juke the Keeper of the Light over here. And now if you're in a lane like this, your goal is going to just basically be not dying. The reason I'm saying that is because it's going to be a lot harder for us to lane effectively than it is for them to lane effectively, because they've got a ranged character, and I cannot like begin to explain how big of an advantage that is. Like, you can just see how much that chunks our Spirit Breaker for. And Spirit Breaker is not exactly the most useful supports in this game. Like, he's a good character, but he's not a support. He's a roamer, he's a ganker. He doesn't really do the whole support thing very well, since all he can throw out is he can do the Charge of Darkness and he can hope for a Greater Bash. That's not really what you want to look for in a good support. So basically that's why we're sort of suffering this laning process. But what you're going to see is that Spirit Breaker is going to go off and start using his Charge of Darkness to help out other lanes. And that's when he's going to really excel. Me, for myself, my goal here is just to farm as much as I can, which is going to be difficult since, again, it's ranged. And you can see like the ridiculousness that I went to make sure that I dodge the Keeper of the Light. Making sure that you've dodged him is so important. And like, I'm also doing barely any damage to the Spectre here because of the Dispersion. Dispersion is a really good ability that reduces the incoming damage to him by 10% at this level, so he's actually extremely durable, especially since I don't have very high attack. I start with Stout Shield, which has made it so that the harassment hasn't really poked me down anywhere near as badly as it really should have, especially because I'm trying to get hit by mostly auto attacks and not by the skills. So this is going to basically be okay for me. Spirit Breaker manages to get some stuff for himself, or shadows, which is really useful for a ganker who plans on being near a lot of kills. But me, on the other hand, I'm just trying to keep alive, basically, and not get killed here. Now, the Keeper of the Light is going to be real annoying because it's Chakra Magic. It recharges his mana whenever he wants to, basically. So I can't really stay in lane against these guys that effectively, because, like, Keeper of the Light is just such a good laner. Here I'm forced to move back. He shouldn't have done this. He shouldn't have done this. Like, I was too damaged to continue going in, and the Keeper of the Light was full health, so he could have just auto-attacked us both to death, basically. And here I'm going to get clipped by that, so I thought I had dodged it, but here I have to run away. I'm going to live, actually, since he doesn't have dive potential. But, like, it still sucks that Spirit Breaker died there, and I have to go all the way back now. I could potentially have just tangled up if our Spirit Breaker hadn't done that, but since Spectre was so low in health, Shadow Demon was able to come in here just for free and just really burst him down. Look at that. Used full combo, managed to get it all off from fairly close range. 2 doses of the Shadow Poison, and that's all it took. Managed to get a kill very easily there. Shadow Poison is a really great ability. I like quite a bit. Like the Shadow Poison release, if you get enough stacks, just huge damage. But the Null Sphere, or whatever this is called, Disruption actually is what that one's called, it's just really expensive. Getting the full combo off is actually really expensive. I'm just going to be here for like a million years, but I have got my Magic Wand now, and I've also got Blades of Attack. So my attack damage now is going to be very much more comparable to Spectre's. In fact, it's a little bit higher, and I've also got the higher defensive capabilities thanks to the Stout Shield. So, well, actually, no, it's not true, because I have 3 armor, and I think Spectre has something like 7 armor, so, you know, it's not all good for me. I've actually got much less. And, of course, like, Dispersion is a very good tanking ability. So I do have to look out a little bit for Spectre. Spectre could potentially kill me, especially if I get somewhere where Spectre can also use this Desolate ability. Desolate does extra damage when I'm sort of one-on-oneing. So if I'm standing in the wave of minions that are friendly, this Desolate isn't really going to do a whole lot, but if I'm standing by myself, Desolate can really deal a lot of damage. Okay, so here, again, just messing up my last hits. The things, I don't really like the way his attack animation works in particular. It's just not quite what I like in an auto attack animation, but you know, it is what it is. At this point in time, I'm mostly just trying to stay in auto attack range, and the reason is that like things are going sort of meh, but down here they're going to go okay here, which is really, by which I mean like that was actually just really bullshit. They're just really waiting for that purification there, but what's going to happen at this point in time is that Shadow Demon and Spirit Breaker can sort of alternate roaming, and that means that they don't have to be in this top lane up here, where all I'm going to be doing is sort of sponging up as much experience as I can, as safely as I can. And this is, despite the fact that you're not going to see me getting a lot of last hits, even though I wasn't getting them before, you know, it's going to be even worse now for me, because I'm going to be up here by myself against 2. And I've got really no hope for a kill. But, like, that means that all I have to do is try and get experience points. That's going to be basically what I'm doing. If I can get a last hit here and there, you know, that's fine. I managed to dodge that, that's good. But basically, like, Skeleton King is okay in this role. He's not like one of the specialists in it, but, like, the ease of use of this guy and the sort of versatility and strength of him means that I can actually be up here by myself and not have to worry about really a thing. Because like he's so hard to kill that I can quite often just get away from enemies. So over here you can see like it's going to be a mix between these guys doing their things here. Yeah, and that just lets that mid get freed up there a bit. Omni Knight over here buying stuff. He's taking way too long doing it, but that's fine. And Ricky over here just sort of farming things up a little bit. He's got his invisibility. If you're ever against a Ricky in lane, it's really important that you get some sort of vision. Although if you're a Ricky and your opponent gets something to see invisibility, then you should really just go ahead and get something that will stop them from doing whatever. You know, just move to a different lane or de-ward it or whatever is the case. Here he's going in sort of, I think he actually kills the, yeah, easy kill on Drow Ranger there. I'm getting chased back here quite badly, getting chipped by the enemy's poke and sort of harass and all that, but it doesn't really matter. I've got my ult up, which means that I'm not going to die even if they kill me, and you're going to see me, after taking that hit, I decide that I do have to wander off. I do manage to use my Magic Wand, which is helping me a lot in keeping up here, and also my Vampiric Aura is, even though it's not at the highest level yet, is really going to help me in keeping a pace in terms of hit points, and sort of stealing my way back up to victory. It is going to screw up my last hits a lot here, since I kind of want to get as many auto attacks in as possible, as opposed to what I was doing before, which is sort of wait. Like, I did it there, I actually waited properly, but like I'm kind of just sort of impatient, so... That, and you can just see those frustrating moments where it's just like... Here, I have to kill this, because I know that Spectre could easily just dive me from there. If I didn't kill that, Spectre could have decided to come in on my face. Now, at this point, I'm virtually dead, and I do decide that I'm going to have to go back. And our tower is mostly healthy. It's only down at like 350 hit points, which obviously is more than theirs is down. But like it's a solo lane melee against a ranged melee, and like that just means that that's for sure. But like that gave us the opportunity to send 3 bottom. and it was 3 people who were doing pretty well, and like another person was sort of able to roam down here as well. Like we've literally got 4 people who've been down here in the past little bit, and like they just can't really stop us from doing anything about that. What's going to happen here because of this is like we can send so many people down here to the bottom that they can't really counter. They're going to start moving mid, and they're not going to be able to counter that. I'm teleporting back up here, so these 2 can't get a free tower off of that. Which is important. You know, I'm just going to stand here, remember to not sort of move around when I'm hit by that thing. But, you know, whatever. And that's going to go down. And again, like, it's 4 people down here, essentially. And they just can't hold out against that. Like, it is literally 4v3. With 2 people who make diving really easy, and a person who's really good at diving, and 1 person who's really good at locking them in once we dive. So, like, they can't really do anything at all in that situation. I'm getting my ass kicked up here, that's fine. If I get killed under this tower, I'm going to still be alive. And, like, Spectre gets way too greedy on me here and gets actually killed. And I'm able to actually get out of there. So, like, things are absolutely fine as far as that's concerned. I managed to pop my magic wand here, and I'm going to forget to do that later, but, like, that gives me my reincarnation, which means that I'm going to be able to stick around in lane. Which, you'll see me getting actually killed pretty soon, but it doesn't matter. Like, you can get killed as Skeleton King as long as you're in a good position, and that means that you'll just come back to life, and it's fine. So I get knocked by that little thing there, and then I get killed by Spectre's ult, and then I just come back to life, and I'm like, okay, well, I have full hit points, full mana now, so might as well get back to farming. And like that's sort of like a great thing about solo lane Skeleton King. They spend a lot of resources. Like they did lose a person diving me so that they could get that, try and get me down and get that kill, but then I killed, you know, Spectre instead, and if I wasn't Skeleton King, they would have been able to either push up the tower afterwards, because I would have had to have gone back, or I would have been able to do what I did, which is just come back immediately, even though they sort of managed to get past that tower and dive me anyway, using their ults. And here I'm going to suck another one of those, which really sucks, but... And here I have to take the mana leak, because I need to get out of there. I'm in a really bad position, so I'm just getting out of there. And here, Shadow Demon, and you're going to also see, I think that our horse friend, Spirit Breaker, is going to cow friend actually, but it's going to come in, maybe not. But here goes Spectre yet again. Another kill for me. I'm going to stay back here. The reason is I'm out of mana, and I don't really have any health. Even after I use that, it's just really kind of, they could have turned around auto-attacked me. So Spirit Breaker, though, full health, managed to run in for an easy kill, especially with Shadow Demon. Spirit Breaker, Shadow Demon, I think is a really good combination, but anyway, that gives me an opportunity to sort of start buying some more stuff. I've got the Ogre Club coming in. In this particular game, I decided I'm going to get Heaven's Halberd. The reason is that their Sven is who I feel worried about and feel intimidated about. And so I'm sort of building against that auto-attack potential that he has. Also Morana, of course. I feel a little bit concerned that she might get a little good at damage here, but you never know. And here I'm just going to sort of back off a little bit. I forget why, but I think that it was because I was worried that they were going to show up here. Anyway, at this point in time, once again, back to being alone. This top tower does not necessarily have to be pushed all that hard. So it's perfectly fine for me to sort of be by myself up here, not pushing the tower and just trying to stay secure up here and stay alive, and not worry about too much about what's going on in the team. You can see we're pushing pretty hard in this middle lane here. I think that this was actually a mistake what's happening on over here. Like our team decides that they're going to go really divey behind the tower, and they actually comment that they're like just being way too ballsy. I thought this was a bad enough idea that I just decided I don't want to help with that. And so I sort of really backed off, trying to make that clear, because like we weren't really communicating all that much, but like the thing is that he's away from any allies that could stop him from getting owned. I ended up going in here because I figured, okay, well he's not getting the picture, I might as well go in here, but yeah, we're gonna lose a couple people because of it. And you're gonna see this guy getting owned as well, so does get us a few hits on the tower, but it's definitely not worth it. Definitely should not have been doing that, but you know, I got a kill off of the assist, so it's not all bad, it's just mostly bad. Definitely would not have chosen to have joined in on that fight again. But anyway, Sven, Mask of Madness. So it was a good choice in my opinion to get the item I did, because he's got really good damage now. These guys of course got another kill mid lane because they're doing this really sort of hilarious bait tactic where this guy just sort of stands in lane and then Riki jumps on their faces from nowhere and they're like, oh god, what's going on? And then he purifies them, because that's actually quite a lot of damage. But anyway, yeah, they're buggering off just a little bit up there. I'm back up here, just farming away again, canceling my crits because I suck at this game, and just not getting any last hits at all. Yeah, my money income is actually pretty poor this game, but like I was feeling a little bit off my game from doing a solo lane for that long. I'm not really used to doing solo lanes all that often, so it's a little bit awkward for me. But anyway, we've got sort of the enemy congregating a little bit mid here, and then sort of spreading back out again, so they're not really committing to going this way. Which means that I feel perfectly legitimate in sort of focusing again on this top lane over here to sort of get this tower pressured. And like Spirit Breaker has that option, this option to always just do this. We caught the enemy off guard here, or rather they did, but they managed to just easily get a kill off on Drow Ranger. They're going to also manage to get a lot of damage off on the rest of the enemy team. They managed to bubble this guy before he dies, but then he gets hit by an arrow, if I recall. Yeah, which was really lucky for him. And then Sven over here is going to have another kill, and then he's going to just barely die here to Riki, just getting those really quick kills. All this time, like, I've been up here top lane. Like, Keeper of the Light decided to try and come up here by himself to try and stop me. And, like, I'm just going to play Ring Around the Rosie around the tower and then smack him. Like, easy kills, so, like, it doesn't really, he can't really stop me by himself. He needs to take at least two people, or at least one of their high damage dealers has to come up there to deal with me. They can't just send Keeper of the Light. As much as he was being a bully in lane, like he's nothing against me in a one-on-one. So you know, it's like 1v1 me scrub. It's like that sort of moment. But anyway, this gives me an opportunity again to sort of push these towers, and like they're still sending people up to try and deal with me when they really should be just sending their entire team mid to deal with that team fight, and then once they've handled that, to rotate up towards me and deal with me separately, like or you know, push towers faster than I can push towers, because I'm not a great tower pusher. Like I've got full levels of vampiric aura, which is how Skeleton King sort of pushes his towers, but it's not great. Okay, I'm pretty sure they denied the tower here, but I can't really remember. Yeah, so here I managed to get off a couple hits, and I decided that he sort of walked too far away for it to be worth my time. So I go back to killing creeps. Here I think was a little bit too gutsy, and I really wish he had pinged or something about that. But you know, in he goes, and in I'll go to sort of help him out, because you know, it's worthwhile there. But and at this point that just basically tickles. I don't really care too much. My entire team is basically here, so I feel pretty confident. And we're going to manage to get a kill on some of these guys. I'm going to go for Drow Ranger, because right there. And then I start taking tower hits, but you know, we've done good here. We've managed to sort of clean that fight up very easily, because they're so underfed. One of the reasons is because, like, one of the reasons, like, there are a lot of reasons to this one, but one of the big reasons was that, like, we were allowed to 4v1 middle lane uncontested. Like, if they had been able to send, if they could have sent some support, if they had kept Keeper of the Light and brought him south, they would have been in a very different position than when I was up there against Spectre and Keeper of the Light, and that actually made a huge difference on the course of the game, because like some people on our team were getting ridiculously fed out of control. We took towers early, which is a huge amount of money, and basically we were starting to get into a position where like we could dominate the game. Right now I've got a Heaven's Halberd, which is a very good item. It's going to make it so that I'm harder to kill, but not only that, I can really just screw with Sven. Sven relies on his auto attacks very heavily. I can now cut down those auto attacks by making it so you can't use them for a short period of time. Now, once again, I'm sort of doing that sort of thing of roam in around with the team, and we sort of know that that's what I'm going to be doing with this particular team. The reason is, like, the person who's off by themselves is a liability to the team to a certain degree. Like, if someone decided that they were going to send like 3 people down to bottom lane, whoever's down in bottom lane is in serious trouble while the rest of the 4 people push towers for free. And if they decide to send everyone, all 5 people, to go kill these 3 or 4 or whatever, then our team's in trouble. So there are a lot of ways that the split pushing can really backfire. But I've really gotten to sort of the mentality of it using Skeleton King, or Wraith King. The reason is that he can get away from a lot of situations that you would be surprised about with just his stun, and that ultimate reincarnation really makes it a lot harder than you would suspect to pin him down and kill him. And with this Heaven's Halberd, I can sort of like disable a guy and keep running while he's jumped on my face and I'm stunned or whatever, and just really survive, and that's really what's going to be necessary. Now, what I'm going to sort of notice is as I go back, I buy my Ring of Health, and then I realize that the entire enemy team looks like they're heading mid. Now, when you're doing this push, another counter to what I'm doing is to just get the entire team together, all 5 of them over here in one big ball, and have them get into a big decisive team fight. So the 5 of them may be able to wipe out 4 members of my team. So I've teleported over here to help, and this is crucial. You need to come in and help your team when it matters, even when you're normally going in and just doing your own thing. So we managed to chain CC Spectre, who is one of their sort of high damage characters, and just instantly kill them, which causes their entire team to have to pull back, because they don't really have much damage anymore other than Sven, and Sven can't do it by himself. So, you know, this has been working out really well for us in a very large number of ways. And even if I were to leave again now, which I do, I think we head over to Roshan. The team could have held off mid if I had gone and done something else. And you're going to see me being like a huge dick to Roshan, because like Skeleton Knight actually sort of really trivializes Roshan for a team, because he gives so much melee sort of vampiric aura lifesteal. It just makes it so that he's so much easier than normal to kill. It's just a very strong ability. Now our top tower is getting pummeled for this hubris of ours, but it's going to do actually okay enough. I don't think we actually end up losing it, so it's not a big deal. And this is going to be a good Roshan for us. It's a good chunk of cash for all of us. Skeleton King happens to be one of those ones that gets it. That helps quite a bit with it. He's not he's not like Ursa, where you can do a level 1 Roshan, or like a Lycan where you can get a level 1 Roshan. I forget who else does it, but he's not quite like that. But he's very good at taking out Roshan at a reasonable level, not the sort of bullshit level that it sort of happens in. So anyway, at this point in time, I've got a Vanguard. The reason I've got a Vanguard is that it's a fairly discounted item, and I fell behind on my items when I was doing the laning phase, because it was a 2v1 lane for a good portion of it. And I didn't really have a support like Spirit Breaker. Again, he's not a true support in the sense that I don't think that he's meant to really help in lane. I think he's meant to get a few key levels and items and then go roaming. He's supposed to go help other lanes. So at this point in time, like Ricky's dead, which is going to leave us in a bit of a pickle, and they've got their like team sort of down here. They're going to catch Spirit Breaker, and that's going to lose us the Aegis of the Immortal. But thanks to the Aegis of the Immortal, he's going to be able to charge all the way up here with his Q, and you're just going to get to watch him escape. And away he goes. So yeah, he's going to be fine. So he's another good candidate actually for that sort of split pushing if you have to, but like the cooldown on that's so high that he's not safe once he's done it. Half a minute, so at this point in time, like I'm just sort of meandering about mid lane. I'm gonna go up around here to see if I can sort of get a flank on them, but I decided that it's a little bit too dangerous actually to go for the Drow Ranger who's over here just because of who's around. If I got locked in by Sven, I would have been in some serious trouble. And then we just sort of kill Sven. It's kind of hilarious, but anyway, at this point in time, we're sort of diving around here. And I'm just going to throw that out there against the Keeper of the Light, and that's going to get a kill for me. So at this point in time, you know, we're pretty much going to be able to take this tower. I'm not sure what actually got Spirit Breaker there. That probably, I don't think that should, it might have been the way he had his Mask of Madness on. Mask of Madness means that you take a lot more damage, and so does the Armlet of Morrigan. So he might have gotten killed by his own items more than the tower hits. So yeah, that's a couple very, very easy towers for us. And at this point, I sort of split off. The reason is that like there's not a whole lot of us here. Drow Rangers quit at this point in time because she was just feeding really too hard. And I think the enemy team was probably saying discouraging things to her, but like, you know, she really, really was feeding way, way too hard. So I don't want to be here because like I figure that they've started respawning. There were only 3 of us there. Things can go south really, really quickly, and you can sort of see that they kind of do, but our team fortunately managed to flee. The reason I'm going here is that I want to take this tower, and this tower is so close to death that it's just very, very easy to push over. Like, I could just tank the tower and take it out right now, because I've got pretty decent dodge chance, even though my armor is pretty bad, and I've got quite a lot of hit points, so I probably could have just tanked that, and we could have killed it. But yeah, like get these easy towers if you can. They're worth money. I mean, it's free money. I don't know why I decided I was going to go hit minions here. I'm just sort of retarded. I guess I figured that the Mega Siege Creep would be able to take out the tower easily enough without me having to worry about it, but, you know, probably should have just hit the tower. Anyway, that goes down. And that gives us even more money advantage. I managed to buy a Skull Basher. In this particular case, I didn't really think I needed a Monkey King bar. If we look here, there's not really anyone with a dodge chance. So there's no real point in me going for that particular item. It wouldn't have actually helped me to get a Monkey King bar. So instead, like I feel it's much, much better to sort of get the items I'm getting. Now, I was actually waiting for my Skull Basher, which is why I've got gone into the forest over here and sort of gone to safe places. I don't want to dive into their base with the courier following me, because that's a good way to get your courier killed. Try and, you know, do something safe for a little while if your courier's there. Now, if your courier is like heading towards you and you're about to get into a big scary team fight, maybe it's a good idea to cancel that. Like maybe you're just not going to get that item in time. But on the other hand, there have been fights where I've seen like the courier get there and like the item that drops off for you saves your life or something. Usually something like a Mask of Madness, but or not a Mask of Madness, a Helm of the Dominator does that a lot for me. But at this point in time, I'm still pushing towers. The reason is that if they are not coming to counter me, then I can do this for free, which is good for the team as a whole, even though like we might lose a fight or two. So I'm just getting going ahead and scraping away at the bottom tower here. And then the minions are going to spawn again. Again, like I'm not the greatest character for this. Fortunately, Omni Knight managed to hit them all up with gigantic regen spells, so they're all going to be just fine, those minions. As you can see, they're getting hit by tower hits, and they're like regenning faster than the damage, so this is going to give me an opportunity to basically take a free tower. I don't remember if I managed to kill it on this wave or not, but basically, yeah, that's a free tower. I think I run past to kill Keeper of the Light first, but you know. Oh no, I killed the tower first. And then I kill Keeper of the Light, so yeah, Keeper of the Light, he was a support, he was doing, you know, really good supporty things, but he wasn't getting a lot of assists or kills in that particular lane, because, you know, he wasn't able to shut me down from my farm here. Here I'm gonna, like, manage to kill Spectre, I think. Maybe not, I think Spirit Breaker does instead. But, you know, then we die, so Sven's Mask of Madness really saves him here. I managed to Heaven's Halberd him, which let me get a few free hits there, but he still ended up killing me, so, you know, I would have maybe killed him if I got a lucky dash, but still, that was really just stretching our luck staying around that long. So I'm going to be dead for quite some time, so that's fine, though. If I had more mana, I would have actually come back to life with Reincarnation, but can't always get what you want. So anyway, yeah, basically Skeleton King is good at this particular job that I'm doing, those ones of where I take an off tower, because if I get ambushed and killed, it gives my team time to respond appropriately. It's like, do we want to help Skeleton King? Do we want to get in a 5v5 team fight around Skeleton King's corpse? Because they can. They'll actually be able to be like, oh, well, Skeleton King sucked up like 3 of their ults. We could actually team fight this now, because I'll respawn and I'll like just sort of wade through enemies as well as the team and provide a lot of a lot of lifesteal. So it becomes quite a bit different when you've got a tower over here, and then you've got an enemy sort of clustered over here, and you've got your team sort of over here. When you're sort of doing that, like, what happens sometimes is they'll wheel bottom and go for the easy kill and just murder you. Skeleton King, it doesn't matter if they do that, so that's sort of why it's safe to do it that way with him, and he's really great for that. Now, you have to recognize when you're the Skeleton King, like, if they decide to, like, it looks like they're going to dive past this team here into these guys in a 5v4, you have to go in and help them, of course, as soon as you can, but, like, our team at this point in time, because we managed to get such a huge advantage early game, we're just demolishing them even if in group fights where we've got sort of people involved differently. Now, I knew that Roshan should have been respawning fairly soon, so this is why I'm over here doing Ancients. But, you know, I should theoretically be helping team push, but, like, I thought that Roche would help out quite a bit, so figured, why not go for it, so here I am. Just doing these Ancients first before we go get them. I think I talked in all chat about this, like, let's get Roche, but figured, you know, get a little bit of money first. And there's Roshan, so, you know, going to be fairly easy for us to kill. Just the two of us are definitely more than than what we need to kill this guy. Over here, though, we've still got people derping around the enemy base, I think. Ricky over here. You can just see how much more fragile he is compared to me, which isn't a bad thing. Like, the thing is that since Ricky is so fragile, like, he's doing a lot more damage as a result of it. Since that's sort of what his build is, but here you can see, like, his auto attacks deal about 200 damage, so he's got more attack speed than I do. And here we managed to take out Roshan, easy enough. Actually, yeah, I've got over 200 damage. I've got a lot of damage. I'm surprised. This Skullbasher might be the big cause of it, but I'm actually dealing more damage than Ricky, I think. It's that attack speed, though, is like the big difference, I guess. Unstoppable. Triple kill. At this point in time, the game is basically over, but you know, I think that sort of shows what Skeleton King is capable of doing. In lane, you know, you're not going to have a great time since he doesn't do a whole lot. He just sort of farms. He farms fairly simply, fairly easily. Most of his abilities are passive, so you don't have to worry about activating your abilities at the right time or in the right way or anything like that. You just sort of have to move into the enemy, and you have to auto-attack them, and hope for those crits sometimes, which are 300% damage, which means that I'm dealing like 750 damage on a swing, so it's a huge amount of damage. But you just have to sort of keep up at it. Double damage. Radiant's middle tower is under attack. And yeah, like with this sort of build, very sort of tanky, designed to sort of shut down and kill one of the enemy counters. And it's also a very simple build. You don't have to worry too much about complex activatables. You do potentially have to use the Heaven's Halberd. The Heaven's Halberd is pretty decent even without the activatable. But with the activatable, it lets you fight things that are above your, like, they have a Spectre, they have a Morana, they've got to spend. All three of those guys you want to be able to Heaven's Halberd because they're just so much physical damage. And their team doesn't really have any crowd control, so that's sort of why I went the build that I did. It's not very a smart team necessarily that I'm up against, but you know, that's sometimes the way things go. So, like, literally though, that's sort of the way Skeleton King, I think, works best. Is sort of build your melee items to make sure that you're going to be able to hit who you're supposed to be hitting. Make sure that you don't immediately die to things you don't want to immediately die to. And that's pretty much all you have to worry about. I managed to get another kill there before running the hell out. And then we just beat the game. Anyway, I hope you found this enjoyable. Check out Skeleton King if you're a newer player, Wraith King for those of you who don't remember Skeleton King. Very good, easy character, even if you're stuck in the lane with two of them against one of you. He's no brood mother or anything like that, but I think that he sort of transitions a little bit better from a dual lane to a solo lane sort of experience. And he's a lot of, he's pretty easy to play. You can actually see I got 111 last hits, which means I had the most last hits in the game. So that's another sort of thing to look out for. Even though I didn't kill anywhere near as many people as Ricky, I had very similar EXP gains to him just because of the number of minions I was killing. And I was fairly close to him in gold per minute. So anyway, give Wraith King a try. Give Dota a try. It's a lot of fun. And anyway, I hope to see you all next time.